I'm 42 years old. I've been married to my wife, Laura, for almost 14 years. We have 2 kids, a mortgage, a dog that sheds everywhere, and what I thought was a solid, boring, dependable life. The kind people envy without saying it out loud. Before everything broke, my life felt normal. Predictable in a comforting way. Wake up early, make coffee, complain about traffic, kiss my wife goodbye, argue with the kids about homework, fall asleep to Netflix. Nothing dramatic. Nothing suspicious. Just routine. Laura and I weren't perfect, but I believed we were stable. We fought about dumb stuff, money, chores, my habit of shutting down during arguments. But we always circled back. Or so I thought. I trusted her completely. I never checked her phone. Never questioned her whereabouts. I was proud of that trust, like it made me mature or evolved. She started going to a gym about a year before everything exploded. Said she wanted to feel better about herself after turning 40. I supported it. Encouraged it even. I told her she looked great. I told her I was proud of her discipline. I had no idea that my life was quietly cracking beneath my feet while I was applauding from the sidelines. Looking back now, that version of me feels painfully naive. I want to reach back in time and shake myself. But at the time, I really believed love and loyalty were enough to protect us. They weren't. When Laura joined the gym, she came home energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. New leggings, new playlists, protein shakes cluttering the fridge. She talked about her trainer, Mark, a lot. Not flirtatiously, at least not obviously. Just stories. Mark says my form is improving. Mark thinks I should lift heavier. I barely registered it. At first, I was happy for her. She laughed more. She stood taller. I figured this was just what confidence looked like. But slowly, things shifted. Gym nights got longer. Her phone started living face down. She guarded it in a way that made my stomach tighten, though I didn't name that feeling yet. If a message buzzed, she'd glance and smile to herself before locking the screen. I told myself I was being paranoid. That married people are allowed private thoughts. That not everything is about me. She started showering immediately when she got home. She started caring more about how she looked, not just for events, but for random Tuesday evenings. When I reached for her at night, she'd pull away, saying she was exhausted or sore. I ignored the red flags because acknowledging them meant risking the life I knew. I didn't want to be that guy. The suspicious husband. The insecure one. Trust felt easier than doubt. What I didn't understand then was that trust without awareness isn't noble. It's just blindness with better PR. The first real warning sign came during a family barbecue. Laura kept checking her phone, smiling in that private way again. I asked her who it was, jokingly. She jumped, like I'd caught her doing something wrong. Just Mark, she said too quickly. He's asking about my schedule. That should have been harmless. But it stuck with me. Why would a trainer be texting her on a Sunday? Why did she look guilty? That night, I lay awake replaying it. I told myself not to overthink. I've always been good at gaslighting myself when reality gets uncomfortable. Then came the emotional distance. Conversations felt thinner. She listened less. When I talked about work stress or the kids, her eyes glazed over. She was present physically, but mentally elsewhere. I started trying harder. Compliments. Date night suggestions. Small touches. Sometimes she responded. Sometimes she felt miles away. I caught myself wondering if she still wanted me. That thought alone made me feel ashamed. Like questioning her love was a betrayal in itself. I wish I'd trusted that instinct instead of silencing it. Because deep down, I already knew something was wrong. I just wasn't ready to face what it might cost me. The doubt became unavoidable one Thursday night. Laura said she was staying late at the gym for a special session. She didn't come home until almost 10. No call. No text. When she walked in, she smelled different. Not bad. Just, not like her. Like a men's cologne layered over sweat and soap. I asked if everything was okay. She snapped at me. That hurt more than anything else. Laura wasn't a snapper. Later, while she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't touch it. I just saw the preview light up. Miss you already? No name. Just that. My chest tightened. I sat there staring at the phone like it was a bomb. When she came out, I pretended to be asleep. That was the moment I knew my life wasn't what I thought it was anymore. A week later, I left work early to surprise her. I thought maybe I'd pick up dinner and meet her at the gym. Try to reconnect. Prove to myself I wasn't crazy. I parked across the street. I saw her through the glass doors. She was laughing. Leaning into Mark. His hands were on her waist. Hers were on his chest. Then he kissed her. Not a quick mistake. Not an accident. A slow, familiar kiss. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the ground dropped out from under me. My ears rang. My hands shook so badly I dropped my keys. I watched my wife pull back, smile, and say something I couldn't hear. That image is burned into me. It plays on a loop I can't turn off. I don't remember driving home. I remember sitting behind the wheel, gripping it so hard my hands hurt, staring straight ahead while the world blurred at the edges. I must have driven on autopilot, because the next clear memory I have is sitting on our couch, lights off, still wearing my jacket. Everything inside me was loud. My thoughts weren't sentences, they were fragments. Images. Her mouth on his. Her smile. My stomach twisted like it was trying to escape my body. I felt nauseous but also completely numb, like my emotions were short-circuiting. There was shame mixed in with the anger. Shame that I hadn't seen it sooner. Shame that I had trusted so fully. Shame that another man knew my wife in ways I thought were still mine alone. I kept thinking, everyone else must have known. I'm the idiot. When Laura finally came home, I didn't move. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there. When she turned on the light and saw my face, I watched the color drain from hers. You saw, she said quietly. Not a question. Something about that, the certainty, the lack of surprise, crushed me. It confirmed that this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a single bad decision. This was a secret she had been actively living. I wanted her to deny it. To tell me I was wrong. To say it wasn't what it looked like. Instead, she sat down across from me and started crying before I even spoke. That's when the rage hit. Not explosive rage, the kind that makes you scream, but a cold, shaking fury that settled into my bones. I felt like I'd been robbed. Of my reality. Of my dignity. Of the life I thought I was living. I remember thinking, this is how it ends. This is the moment everything before becomes. Before. The conversation that followed felt endless. Like we were trapped in a room with no oxygen, just circling the same truths over and over until everything hurt. At first, she denied it. Said it was nothing. Said it was a mistake. That word, mistake, made something snap in me. A mistake is forgetting milk at the store. A mistake is missing an exit. What I saw through that gym window was a choice. Repeated. Practiced. When I told her exactly what I saw, her shoulders slumped. That's when the story changed. She admitted they'd been close. Then that it had crossed the line. Then that it had been going on for months. Each new admission felt like falling down another step I didn't know existed. I asked questions I never wanted answers to. Did they sleep together? Yes. Where? His apartment. Our car once. I felt physically sick hearing that. Like our life had been smeared with something I couldn't wash off. She cried hard. Said she felt invisible. Said the attention felt good. Said she didn't plan for it to happen. Then came the sentence that still echoes in my head. I didn't think you'd ever find out. I don't remember yelling, but my throat hurt afterward, so I must have. I remember asking her if she loved him. She opened her mouth, closed it, and looked down. That pause said more than any confession. She begged me not to leave. Promised it was over. Promised she'd do anything. Therapy. Transparency. Quitting the gym. Cutting him off completely. I sat there listening, thinking about how desperate she sounded, and how she hadn't sounded that way about us in years. I realized then that apologies don't undo knowledge. Once you know something, you can unknow it. No matter how much someone cries. After that night, I stopped recognizing myself. I went through the motions of daily life like a ghost wearing my body. At work, I stared at my screen without absorbing anything. At home, every room felt contaminated with memories I could no longer trust. I obsessed over details. How long had she been unhappy? Was she ever really attracted to me? Was every smile, every "I love you" just habit? I replayed conversations from years ago, searching for clues I missed. My self-esteem collapsed. I compared myself to him constantly. Younger. Fitter. New. I wondered if this was what I deserved for getting comfortable. For aging. For believing stability was enough. I hated myself for still loving her. That love felt humiliating now, like a weakness exposed. Some nights I wanted to hold her and beg her to fix it. Other nights I couldn't stand the sound of her breathing. Sleep became impossible. When I did sleep, I dreamed of that kiss. I'd wake up sweating, heart racing, convinced I was back in that parking lot. I felt trapped between two impossible options: stay and live with the betrayal, or leave and blow up my family. Either way, I lost. People talk about infidelity like it's just sex. It's not. It's an earthquake. It reshapes the landscape of your mind. It teaches you that the person you trusted most is capable of rewriting reality without you noticing. And once that truth settles in, nothing feels solid anymore. Telling the kids wasn't one conversation. It was 1,000 small lies stacked on top of each other. We never said the word affair. We said, rough patch. We said, stress. We said, grown-up problems. All of it tasted like ash in my mouth. They were 9 and 12 at the time. Old enough to notice everything. The silence at dinner. The way Laura and I stopped touching. The way I slept on the couch more and more. Kids don't need explanations, they read the room better than adults. My son asked me one night if I was mad at Mom. I told him no. He nodded like he didn't believe me. That nearly broke me. I hated pretending. I hated laughing when I wanted to scream. I hated that my pain was now part of their childhood memories. I watched them become quieter, more cautious, like they were trying not to set off an explosion. The worst part was realizing that no matter what I chose, staying or leaving, they'd lose something. Either a whole family under one roof, or the illusion that their parents were unbreakable. I started carrying guilt like a second spine. Guilt for staying angry. Guilt for considering leaving. Guilt for still loving their mother. There was no version of this where I felt like a good father. The outside world crept in whether we wanted it to or not. Someone noticed Laura wasn't at the gym anymore. Someone else noticed I'd lost weight. A friend asked if we were okay, and I realized how thin the walls around our secret were. Some friends chose her side. Some chose mine. Most chose distance. Infidelity makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to imagine it happening to them. Laura's parents blamed stress. Mine blamed her. Holidays became minefields. Every gathering felt like a silent trial where everyone pretended nothing had changed while judging everything. At home, trust was dead. She offered me her phone passwords. Location sharing. Complete transparency. It didn't help. Surveillance isn't trust, it's just fear with extra steps. Every time she was late, my chest tightened. Every unknown number felt like a threat. I hated the person I was becoming, suspicious, guarded, constantly braced for impact. The affair ended, but its shadow didn't. It followed us everywhere. We went to counseling because that's what you're supposed to do. We sat on a couch and talked about communication gaps, while a stranger nodded sympathetically. Laura cried a lot. She took responsibility, mostly. She said the right words. Said she was ashamed. Said she wanted us. I tried. I really did. I learned the language of forgiveness without knowing how to feel it. I said, I'm working on it, when what I meant was, I'm drowning. Sometimes we had good weeks. Laughing. Almost normal. Then one small thing would trigger me, a song, a smell, a passing comment, and I'd shut down completely. She'd get frustrated. Ask how long she had to keep paying for it. That question told me everything I needed to know. She wanted closure. I was still bleeding. You can't rush healing when the wound is reopened daily by memory alone. I didn't realize how bad I was getting until I had my first panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. Hands numb. Vision tunneling. Breath gone. The doctor said stress. Anxiety. Trauma. Hearing that word, trauma, felt dramatic, but also accurate. I became hypervigilant. Always scanning for danger. Always expecting the next betrayal. I felt weak for not being able to move on. Ashamed for not being decisive. I stopped recognizing joy. Everything felt muted. Like life was happening behind glass. Some nights I sat alone in my car just to avoid the house. I wasn't suicidal, but I understood, for the first time, how people get there. How exhaustion can masquerade as peace. Leaving wasn't explosive. There were no screaming matches. Just quiet resignation. One night, after another circular argument, I realized something terrifyingly simple. I wasn't healing. I was just surviving. I told her I needed space. Not as a threat. Not as leverage. As a fact. She cried. Asked if there was someone else. That irony almost made me laugh. I packed a bag. Hugged the kids too tightly. Told them Dad just needed time. Driving away felt like failure and relief at the same time. We're divorced now. On paper, it was clean. Emotionally, it wasn't. We co-parent well. We attend school events. We're polite. Sometimes we even joke. But there's a permanent distance, like two people who survived a shipwreck and refused to talk about the water. She moved on faster than I did. That hurt more than I expected. I'm functional. Not whole. Better than before, but changed. That kiss destroyed more than my marriage. It destroyed my certainty. My innocence. My belief that love alone is protection. I don't hate her. I don't fully forgive her either. Both truths coexist. I've learned that betrayal doesn't end when the affair does. It settles into you. Alters how you love. How you trust. How you see yourself. If there's a lesson, it's this: don't ignore your instincts to preserve comfort. And don't underestimate how deeply one moment can fracture a lifetime. I carry it with me. Quietly. Every day.